Good morning YouTube, my name's Sean Connors and this is Outsiders, and this is going to be another mailbag programme. I've got quite a few questions to cover off, and I'm going to do what I can in this mailbag programme. Obviously the biggest problem at the moment, we had so many people sending messages through asking specific questions. I thought it only fair and right to try my best to, firstly apologise if we haven't got round to your questions yet. You've got to understand that we're averaging about 40 questions a week. It would be, I don't want to spend my video time completely on mailbag questions. I think having one of those a week is fine. Having two maybe, but any more than that is too much. So it means that it's going to be quite slow, and I hope that a number of questions will be covered off by either previous mailbag programs or I will get round to your questions. So please do keep them coming. Please ask, and really the more thought-provoking questions I will try to answer, the ones where I feel there's some mileage in it. So I hope that makes sense, but I will cover off if you're persistent and you've got a really good question. Yeah, of course I'll cover it. Anyway, the first one is from Miss What the 123, who's been a regular to my particular programme, my show, and often comments or leaves quotes, and I haven't got round to answering really anything to do with her questions, but she's asked a very topical question at the moment regarding the Tomb of Curses, around its design build and my thoughts on how that's actually gone. And I think that's probably quite good to ask, because she's quite keen herself to try something out, which is great, and that is part of it. So in no particular order, just to try and quickly answer the question. The first thing is the idea, like what Samwise 7 RPG did. It's really an experiment, or was an experiment, to see if the format could work the way that I visualised it. We've had tremendous support, so first of all I've got to say thank you to Mike of The Drunken Goblin, who has absolutely been very, very supportive, helped us create a website for the Tomb of Curses. If you haven't seen that, do check it out. The information is out there on my channel, which has been very useful. I'm very, very pleased with the amount of players that we managed to take through. Currently, obviously, I didn't expect there to be waves of hundreds of people going through. However, we have had 101 or 102 people. I've lost count. I haven't checked this morning's emails to make sure, but about 102 people have gone through it. And I've only got one player currently playing, which is Rabbit, who has got anywhere. The rest of the characters have been easily wiped out, killed off. So the tomb has really, really lived up to its deadly reputation. Rabbit has reached a point where only 2 others on YouTube have reached, and my plan with it is pretty simple, that once, and I'm hoping somebody does, once somebody completes it, then I want to release all the videos as a blog. The videos don't cover every detail off, as people are probably aware. You have to do some video exchanging, some words of exchange in certain locations, because it makes sense. It does slow it up a little because of the time zone, which is one of the weakest parts of it. But the fact that we're actually role-playing on YouTube, that should not be underestimated. I mean, I think that's pretty bloody awesome. I have got a plan, Miss... I'll just call you 123. 123. I've got a plan for what I want to do beyond this. There's a couple of DMs who've asked me for specifics around the Tomb of Curses, so I'm going to be sending them some... If the tomb is conquered, I think I'm just going to be very open and release the videos publicly. But if the tomb isn't conquered, then I shall send them some private videos who've been kind enough to ask, so they will certainly get them, and obviously I will include you in that as well. I have got plans, yes, for bigger ideas. I'm going to give you some examples of those so you can see where I'm going. Rabbit already mentioned on his channel that he was maybe thinking about an investigation style that might work on it, and again that makes a lot of sense. I can see that, and that's definitely true to say it could work. I'm thinking about something quite grand, so I'm thinking maybe that if we target 3 or 4 months ahead, so around about October, November, maybe early December, that sort of time period for YouTube, pick a day, probably a Saturday, get the time zone problems roughly sorted, so it'd be in the US on a Sunday, mid-morning, mid to late morning, and over here it'd be sort of early evening. But then the beauty is we could have something going online, and if I can plan it so I haven't got the next day working, then we can actually have, for most of us, a convention of sorts where we can actually put our stuff all out together on one day and people can go and try it out and stuff. And my next project that I want to do is a thing that I really think would fit this format so well, which is called the Killer Touch. Now, I don't want to give too much away at the moment, but it's a reasonable sized area. I'm going to have to think about that. But it's open to an unlimited amount of players coming into it at one time. And my idea would be to have X amount of people logging on. They would all have individual maps and a character created. And the idea ultimately is to be the last one standing. And I think it would work in the YouTube format. I'm currently thinking about this a great deal. It's set in a post-apocalyptic world, so you know. And it's some really nice ideas in it. But anyway, it's a sort of semi-board game, semi-roleplay. So definitely for this format, it would certainly work. So that's just a quick recap of where we are. It's just a quick sort of vision of the future. It certainly has worked. The Timcast very pleased with it, and think we have to keep pushing forward with ideas. I look forward to hearing of any of my fellow DMs out there who also do something with the format. So that's question one. Thank you very much for it. The second question is round about Pathfinder. I've been asked by Produce Flame. Says basically, now we've had some time to play Pathfinder. Are we still confident it's a good step forward? Yeah, absolutely. I was a big fan. I played 3rd edition. I can see why 3.5 came in. I don't see the sinister reasons for more cash, because I just felt they realised that there was a bit of a problem with their product, because from 3rd to 3.5 it's pretty simple. A lot of the spells were buff related, were over an hour plus, and that's per level, and that's just it was broken. So 3.5 had to correct those issues, which it did, and Pathfinder has logically moved the game forward. I think the very big positives for Pathfinder is that the mixture of the way they've changed some of the classes, the fundamentals, really, really works. Now, I'm going to be doing reviews of all the new books that they bring out, but that will be in due course. But what I can say around the core book, which is the key for me, always the core book, very strong, classes that stand out that are above the normal. The Paladin in Pathfinder is a very strong class, a great all-rounder. Really like that. Personally speaking, I would like to have seen more, because they really do focus you on one career, which I understand the reasons for, but I would like to have seen an opportunity, and maybe that will come with stuff they're going to do, for dabbling in classes, which it just penalises you even more so than 3.5. But so far, really good, really getting a feel for it, and very much enjoying it. And finally, very quick question. Regarding excuse me, regarding the DM's tips videos, somebody asks, you've been running them for a while. Do you think this is DOM? Do you think that do you have any? Have you got more tips to share? And will this continue? Yes, is the very short answer for it. Yes, the DM's tips programs will continue, and the answer is yes. I have loads of tips to give. The DM's Tips program idea behind that originally was the fact that as an experienced DM, I wanted a platform where I could give some tips to very beginning DMs, and then ultimately begin ramping up that style of play. And I think we've begun to see that starting to happen, where we start looking at tips more and more involved. You have to understand that I come at this from probably a very unusual position, because having those years of experience under your belt is one thing, but really truly understanding the game is a completely different thing. And also, I've been very lucky that, for me personally, having been pushed and pressed by very good players, I think keeps you at the top of your game. It's very, very easy as a DM to slip into a pattern of mediocrity, and that sounds an awful thing to say, but it's a fact. We can all do that. Well, I've been there. We've all done it. And you have to keep pushing. I've used the word the envelope. You have to keep pushing your envelope. You have to keep shifting your position. I call it shifting sands. You have to keep moving your position, because if you don't, you find yourself in this horrible place where your games don't really, they just don't feel right anymore, and you start to lose focus and faith in them. So that's why I do it. So yeah, there is plenty more videos out there. My original plan, when I plotted it down and how I wanted it to go, is still on course, and I still believe there are over 100 videos that can be done on the DM's Tips programs in their entirety, and we are only but a part of the way into them. So yeah, there's still a lot of mileage to go. So keep your questions coming. Don't be afraid to throw in any question that you like, and if you've got something that really catches my fancy, it will be in the next program. Anyway, I've been Sean Connors with a squeaky voice. This has been Outsiders. Till the next time, guys, take care of yourself. Until then, bye-bye.